The White House is facing a whirlwind of questions after President Trump admitted to speaking with now former FBI Director James Comey about whether the president was under investigation.
Earlier, Chief White House correspondent Major Garrett asked Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders about whether those conversations were appropriate.
You just said here it was appropriate for the President of the United States to ask whether or not he was under investigation. Why is it appropriate if that's not consistent with the guidelines at the Justice Department to avoid that very encounter?
We've talked to several legal scholars have weighed in on this and said that there was nothing wrong with the president asking that question.
The Justice Department should change its protocol.
I haven't seen their protocol. I'm only speaking to the information that I have at this point. No, it's not what I think. I mean, look at the people that followed up the interview. There were multiple attorneys that came on after and specifically stated that it was not inappropriate and it wasn't wrong for the president to do so.
Would you say, based on the experience that you and Sean and this communications office had Tuesday and Wednesday, that you were given all of the best information to relay to the American public through us, and your job is to relay that information to the American public, we're only intermediaries, about what happened with this firing and the rationale for it?
Intermediaries. You seem to take a much more proactive approach most of the time, but I'll go with intermediaries for today. Look, I think we were absolutely given the information that we could have at that time. It was a quick-moving process. We took the information we had as best we have it and got it out to the American people as quickly as we could.
And would you say that that information was accurate then or is more accurate now?
I would say that after having a conversation with the president, you don't get much more accurate than that.
And so by that standard, should reporters and the country essentially wait for a pronouncement from the president before believing that which is stated on his behalf by the White House communications staff?
Look, Major, I'm not going to get in a back and forth that we have to have like a direct quote every single time. In this process, I gave you the best information I had at the moment. I still don't think that it contradicts the president's decision. You guys want to get lost in the process.
Now, after the briefing, we spoke with Major Garrett about that exchange.
The first and most important basic is this. Sarah Huckabee Sanders said she went with the information she had, and what the president said today, that he was going to fire James Comey, the FBI director, regardless of any recommendation from the Deputy Attorney General, was going to happen anyway. That is not only inconsistent, it directly contradicts in every way what this White House said was the original impetus for the firing of James Comey. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the Deputy Press Secretary for the President of the United States, and the Press Secretary of the President of the United States, Sean Spicer, both told reporters here that it was the memorandum from the Deputy Attorney General that drove this decision on him. Direct quote from Sean Spicer Tuesday evening to reporters about this episode. It's on him. Who was the him in that sentence? The Deputy Attorney General of the United States, Rod Rosenstein. Now it is asserted by this White House that the president had already decided. And an element not in the memoranda from the Deputy Attorney General, which was all about James Comey's actions or lack of actions regarding the Hillary Clinton email investigation of 2016. No, it wasn't about that. No. It was about James Comey's testimony on Capitol Hill Wednesday of last week. That set President Trump to conclude that he should be fired. He wasn't up to the job and may have reinforced this concept that he is a showboater and a grandstander. So one of the things that you're obliged to do as a White House correspondent is sift through the data provided to you in paper form or in conversations with people who speak on behalf of the President of the United States. And so what we have after an intervening 48 hours is that paper evidence and things spoken out loud have turned out to be, if not completely false, utterly unattached to the actual motivations and reason for the firing of the FBI director. That is my most concise summary of what happened in this briefing room here today.
Well, and I think what's interesting, Major, is that when reporters started pushing back, saying this is a direct contradiction, Sarah Huckabee Sanders got very feisty with reporters, saying, I don't know why we're arguing about the semantics of this. This is, of course, what happened. And there's just small details that you guys are arguing over, acting like the press is making this a much bigger issue than it should be.
Yes, back and forth, and you guys are obsessed with process. Obtaining an answer from someone who speaks on behalf of the President of the United States isn't process. As I said in the briefing, we are intermediaries for the American public. We are trying to obtain information from this White House about what the President did, why he did it, and what it means. And when we did that for the past 48 hours, we learned all of that process, not a process, but what the White House wants to dismiss as a process, in fact, was contradicted by the President of the United States. That, to me, is not a process issue. It goes to the heart of what actually were the motivations and what is the actual genuine explanation for this action. Because the pieces of paper we were handed on Tuesday to explain this turned out to be, if not irrelevant, far less relevant than the White House represented in those white-hot moments after it was announced that Comey had been firing. Let's be cognizant of one historical fact. Only one previous FBI director has been fired by a president of the United States. Bill Clinton did it in 1993. William Sessions was the FBI director. After a lengthy investigation into ethical lapses that produced a 161-page summary of those ethical lapses and an intervening 6-month period from which the President of the United States encouraged the FBI director to step down. When he didn't, then the President of the United States took the, at that time, unprecedented move of firing him. And you know what happened when he did so? He had a press conference with the Attorney General of the United States standing right next to him to answer questions about the motivations and the reasons behind that firing. To say that contrasts starkly with what has happened in this White House in the last 48 hours is an understatement.
Yeah, many wondering, is grandstanding and showboating considered a fireable offense for an FBI director? Major, I do want to ask you on one policy front here. There was this voter fraud commission, a bipartisan commission they announced today, despite the fact that there is no evidence of widespread voter fraud. What's this about?
It's about trying to find a reason and rationale behind the president's still unproven declaration on Twitter that 2.5 to 3 million people voted illegally in this election, and not just that, but they all voted for Hillary Clinton. This is an executive order to look at an issue that statisticians and political scientists will say is an issue. There is some dimension of fraud, either misregistration or people registering in multiple jurisdictions, meaning multiple states. Those things are a part of the election process. They are ripples in the election process that do create some statistically insignificant dimension of fraud spread across both parties. And if, in fact, this commission carries out the obligations so stated by the president, that's in all likelihood what it will find, because that's what others who have looked at this issue have also found. But it is a way to try to find some means to justify presidential tweets about election fraud that still have no basis in verifiable fact.
White House correspondent Major Garrett. Major, thank you for the time.
Sure.